Sarah, UFC 69 in Houston, April 2007, hosts one of the sport's wildest shocks. Matt Serra, a plus 850 underdog, against Georges St-Pierre, the welterweight king. GSP comes in with a 14-1 record, defending his belt with all the confidence of a man who just signed a long-term mortgage. Sarah, meanwhile, earned the shot through the Ultimate Fighter comeback season, a reality show that no one thought would produce a legitimate champion. Yet in round one, Sarah clips GSP with an overhand right and follows with a barrage of punches that forces a TKO stoppage. The crowd erupts while GSP looks like he just saw his tax bill. Sarah becomes one of the unlikeliest UFC champions ever, cementing the sport's greatest upset. This loss sets up GSP's eventual redemption arc, which defines the rest of his career. Home. At UFC 193 in Melbourne, November 2015, Ronda Rousey enters as a -2,000 favorite, unbeaten at 12-0, and practically the face of women's MMA. Holly Holm, the former boxing world champion turned MMA striker, is treated like cannon fodder. Fans expected her to survive about as long as a goldfish in a blender. Instead, Holm dominates with precise footwork, avoids the clinch, and in round two lands a left high kick that sends Rousey collapsing face first to the canvas. The stadium of 56,000 explodes, and Rousey's aura of invincibility is shattered in one perfect moment. Dana White admits later he never saw it coming, which makes two of them. Holm's upset instantly rewrites the division, as Rousey never fully recovers from the loss. The UFC scrambles to rebuild the women's bantamweight scene around Holm's shock victory. Bisping. UFC 199 in Los Angeles, June 2016, delivers another upset classic when Michael Bisping steps in on just 17 days' notice against middleweight champion Luke Rockhold. Rockhold had already submitted Bisping in 2014 and walked into the cage looking like he'd borrowed Anderson Silva's highlight reel. But Bisping, a plus 600 underdog and perennial almost guy, clips Rockhold with a left hook in round one that drops the champion flat. He follows with punches until the referee pulls him off, leaving Rockhold staring into space like he'd just misplaced his Wi-Fi password. Bisping not only wins the UFC middleweight title, he becomes the first British UFC champion, rewriting his legacy in one shocking night. Even Dana White admitted he didn't bet on Bisping, but the bookmakers sure paid out heavily. This upset sets the stage for Bisping's brief but unforgettable reign. Hughes. UFC 46 in January 2004 showcases Matt Hughes as the unstoppable welterweight king, entering on a 13-fight win streak. Across from him stands BJ Penn, moving up from lightweight and widely dismissed as too small to compete. Instead of being overpowered, Penn calmly stuffs Hughes's takedowns and begins landing crisp strikes on the feet. Midway through round one, he seizes Hughes's back and sinks in a rear naked choke, forcing an incredible submission. The arena explodes as the longtime champion is stunned in under 5 minutes. Hughes suffers his first UFC loss in years, while Penn instantly becomes champion in a new weight class. The upset redefines Penn's reputation, proving him as one of MMA's most fearless and versatile fighters. Verdum. UFC 188 in Mexico City, June 2015, marks Cain Velasquez's long-awaited return after nearly 2 years sidelined. The heavyweight champion enters as the heavy favorite, known for his relentless wrestling pace and unmatched cardio. Across from him, Fabricio Verdum stands as a plus 400 underdog, with most analysts expecting him to fold under Cain's pressure. Instead, the altitude in Mexico begins draining Velasquez, while Verdum remains composed, steadily outstriking him in the exchanges. By round three, Velasquez shoots desperately for a takedown, and Verdum seizes the moment, locking in a tight guillotine choke. Cain is forced to tap, and the crowd erupts in disbelief at the sudden collapse of the division's most dominant figure. The upset not only crowns Verdum as the undisputed heavyweight champion, but also delivers one of the most dramatic title shifts in UFC history. Dillashaw. UFC 173 in May 2014 is billed as Renan Barão's coronation, with the Brazilian riding a staggering 32-fight unbeaten streak. Oddsmakers have him as a -900 favorite, expecting an easy night against the relatively unknown challenger, T.J. Dillashaw. Instead, Dillashaw storms out with confidence, flooring Barrow in round one and setting the tone for the entire fight. For the next 4 rounds, he outstrikes the champion with speed, movement, and combinations that Barrow can't answer. By round 5, Dillashaw seals the performance with a head kick followed by a TKO finish. The arena explodes as one of the UFC's most lopsided betting lines crumbles before everyone's eyes. Barron's aura of invincibility disappears overnight, while Dillashaw transforms from underdog to bantamweight star in a single evening. The upset is instantly remembered as one of the greatest title shocks in UFC history. Smith, during the UFC 14 in July 1997, pits Mark Coleman, the undefeated heavyweight and self-proclaimed godfather of ground and pound, against Maurice Smith. On paper, it looks like a mismatch. Coleman is a wrestler with brutal top control, while Smith is a kickboxer many assume will fold once taken down. Early on, the script plays out as expected, with Coleman landing takedowns and mauling from the top. But Smith stays calm, defends enough to survive, and forces the fight into later rounds. Coleman completely gasses, his punches losing steam while Smith begins landing strikes at will. After 3 grueling rounds, Smith takes a decision victory that shocks the MMA world. The upset proves striking and conditioning can overcome brute wrestling dominance, forever changing how fighters prepare for the octagon. Hall, the Ultimate Fighter 17 finale in April 2013 is designed as Uriah Hall's coronation, with fans convinced they're watching the next Anderson Silva. Hall's highlight reel knockouts on the show make him a -300 favorite and the clear star heading into the fight. Instead, Kelvin Gastelum, the last pick of the season and lowest seed, flips the narrative entirely. He closes distance, pressures Hall relentlessly, and uses steady wrestling to neutralize Hall's striking arsenal. Across 3 rounds, Gastelum dictates the tempo and wins a split decision that shocks the crowd. Fans who expected another spinning kick knockout instead watch Hall's aura dissolve under pressure. The upset proves that discipline and fundamentals often derail even the flashiest hype trains. For Gastelum, the win doesn't just end Hall's rise, it launches him into a long, respected run as a perennial UFC contender. Sanchez. UFC Fight Night 27 in August 2013 pairs Gilbert Melendez, a recent title challenger, with veteran Diego Sanchez. Almost no one expects Sanchez to be competitive against Melendez's sharp boxing and pace. Instead, Sanchez turns the fight into pure chaos, dragging Melendez into a wild brawl. He even drops Melendez in round 3, nearly pulling off a shocking comeback. Judges award Melendez the decision, but Sanchez steals the spotlight. Fans call it one of the craziest fights in lightweight history. While technically not a win, it's remembered as one of Sanchez's greatest moral upsets. Pena. UFC 269 in December 2021 sets the stage for what looks like another easy Amanda Nunes defense. Nunes enters on a 12-fight win streak, holding both the bantamweight and featherweight belts, and is viewed as untouchable. Juliana Pena, a +650 underdog, ignores the odds and marches forward with constant pressure. After surviving early exchanges, she stuns Nunes with stiff jabs that sap the champion's confidence. In round 2, Pena drags the fight down and secures a rear-naked choke, forcing a shocking tap. The crowd in Las Vegas erupts as the Lioness is dethroned in one of the most unlikely moments in UFC history. The upset instantly cements Pena as the face of one of the sport's greatest modern shocks. Griffin. UFC 76 in the September 2007 sees Mauricio Shogun Rua make his UFC debut as the #1 ranked light heavyweight from Pride. Most expect Forrest Griffin, listed as a +350 underdog, to serve as a stepping stone. Instead, Griffin pushes a relentless pace, outlasting Rua and exposing his shaky cardio under the UFC's demands. By round 3, Rua is exhausted, and Griffin seizes the opening with a rear-naked choke that forces the tap. The upset shocks the MMA world, proving Griffin is more than just a tough reality star. His win catapults him into the title picture, setting the stage for a championship run few saw coming. Edgar, UFC 112 in Abu Dhabi, April 2010, pits BJ Penn, the dominant lightweight champion, against Frankie Edgar. Penn enters as a heavy favorite, while Edgar sits as a plus 600 underdog, with few giving him a chance. Using crisp footwork, constant movement, and timely combinations, Edgar frustrates Penn from start to finish. After 5 rounds, the judges award Edgar a unanimous decision, stunning fans who expected another Penn clinic. The victory not only dethrones one of the UFC's most respected champions, but also redefines what a smaller, faster fighter can accomplish at lightweight. Edgar's upset reshapes the division and cements him as a future Hall of Famer. Weidman, UFC 162 in July 2013, sets the stage for Anderson Silva, the middleweight king, defending his belt on a 16-fight UFC win streak. Chris Weidman, undefeated but relatively green, enters as a plus 210 underdog and is largely dismissed as a placeholder challenger. Silva, brimming with confidence, taunts him by dropping his hands, leaning back, and clowning mid-fight, a routine that had humiliated past opponents. But in round 2, Silva's showboating finally backfires when Weidman throws a sharp left hook that lands flush. Silva collapses, and the referee waves it off, leaving the MMA world in absolute disbelief. The knockout ends Silva's record-setting title reign of 2,457 days, a run that looked untouchable. Fans who came for another Silva highlight instead leave with one of the most shocking finishes in UFC history. The upset instantly transforms Weidman from promising contender into the man who toppled the greatest champion ever. Gracie, UFC 4 in December 1994, pits Royce Gracie against Dan Severn, a 260-pound wrestling powerhouse with a perfect pedigree. Gracie, weighing just 180 pounds, looks comically undersized, but he carries the still mysterious weapon of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For nearly 16 minutes, Severn dominates the action, smothering Gracie with takedowns and heavy top control. The fight feels like a slow suffocation, with Gracie pinned under what looks like a refrigerator with a mustache. But just when it seems hopeless, Gracie throws up a triangle choke and shocks the crowd as Severn taps. The smaller man's victory explodes like a revelation. Technique can defeat brute size and power. Fans erupt, and martial arts schools across America immediately scramble to add jiu-jitsu classes. The upset not only validates BJJ as the future of MMA, but firmly cements Gracie as the symbol of UFC's birth era. Edwards, UFC 278 in Salt Lake City, August 2022, sets up Kamaru Usman's 6th welterweight title defense. Usman rides a 19-fight win streak, sitting as the pound-for-pound #1 and a minus 400 favorite. Leon Edwards, though skilled, is seen as an afterthought, especially after losing most of the fight on the scorecards. With less than a minute left in round 5, Edwards throws a perfect left high kick that lands flush on Usman's jaw, knocking him out cold. The arena erupts as the impossible unfolds. Edwards steals victory from the jaws of certain defeat. It's instantly called one of the greatest comebacks and upsets in UFC history. The win not only crowns Edwards as champion, but immortalizes his line, "Headshot, dead, pound for pound." What? If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.